So rug pulled, totally rug pulled on the first one. So I will say again, a very late morning coffee rant. But did you check your pulse and balance this morning with your coffee? Now, we are facing crypto armageddon, but why and does it actually affect you? Well, it all started, I guess, with the collapse of Celsius. And so before I continue, if there's anybody here, would you like to put a 1 in the comments to make sure that you're still hearing my audio, because we were rugged earlier on. I'll wait. Is happening in the crypto world and the real Armageddon that's about to happen. It all started, I think, with Celsius. Sad to say. Everybody who put money into Celsius, it's highly unlikely you're going to get everything back. So how did it all start? Well, it all started, I think, like most of these communities, with a leader who has a very, very big ego. And they start these things for themselves and not for other people. And Alex Baczynski is on record as saying that he wanted to pay the highest yield to all his depositors, come what may. And that was certainly true, the come what may bit. So it all started to go wrong when the crypto market started to fall and the yields just weren't there. So he made huge bets, which made actually everything worse. And he tried to get out of it. One thing that he did that nearly saved the company was this. With the Terra Luna UST collapse, which I guess is the first domino, Alameda, more of them later, called all the big players because they had huge positions. And they said, listen, we have it all under control. Please don't sell. But Alex didn't listen. And he had a very large position, allegedly 500 million, nearly $500 million US dollars, which he withdrew. And that, of course, made the collapse even worse. And of course, Sam Nobank, the fraudman, was not very happy about that. Along with that, we have the Three Arrows Capital debacle, which happened shortly after. And here's what happened. I think, allegedly, and this is only my opinion, I don't think SBF, as we will call him from now on in, really liked what Alex did, because they lost a lot of money. So they noticed that Celsius, in their gamble to pay yield, had very large positions in state ETH. Now, state ETH is illiquid. You can't, it will remain illiquid until we get the Shanghai update. And who knows when that's going to come along. And so SBF through Alameda took huge positions in state ETH, huge positions. And that began to affect the liquidity of Celsius, which meant that they couldn't meet the withdrawals. Next in the game was maximum FUD about Celsius being illiquid, which caused a bank run, if you like, because people started to panic and started to withdraw their money on the back of rumors. Now, they may or may not have been true, we don't know. But this was the downward slide of Celsius. There was a huge liquidity squeeze brought about in the most part. The fact that they took a very large position in state ETH, liquidity was squeezed mainly by Alameda, but others. And Three Arrows Capital were also a victim of this game. But not only that, allegedly it would seem that Alameda was taking out short positions on the Cell token to pile on the pressure. And they were naked shorts in that Alameda didn't actually own Cell. And they were making short positions out of thin air. And they were doing it with allegedly commingled depositors' money, which is mind-boggling. But anyway, we saw what happened. We saw the result of all this, And whether it was just a result of the FUD, whether Celsius was in the big bind before this, it didn't help. And, in the background, one of the things that Celsius, Alex, did was, he promised everybody that he was going to continue to pay the highest yield possible in this game. And in order to do that, he'd actually sold $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. That may have been deposited as money. That will come out in a hearing, I'm sure. And he invested that in a Bitcoin mining farm. Now, not such a bad idea, except for the fact that the price of Bitcoin collapsed very soon after. And his idea of IPOing his company to raise billions of dollars, which he was then going to distribute to Celsius holders, people who put their coins on the Celsius exchange, never happened. And so there was a huge, 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 huge hole right there. And there we go. Celsius disappeared, and everybody's lost their money. That's centralized finance. But unfortunately, there was a big, big, big domino effect about to happen. You see, SBF himself had created his company on two things. One is he managed to convince some of the largest venture capital firms in Silicon Valley that he was the wonder kid, that he could take 2 and 2 and make it equal 100. Well, I can see 2 and 2 making 5, but not 100. Never understood how this maths genius did it. I just assumed, like everybody else did, well, he must be a goddamn genius. But he wasn't, as we all now know. And he had enough money to throw it around at the lobbyists in Capitol Hill. And he was purporting that they should bring in legislation which will single-handedly put him in the prominent position in the CeFi world. Well, now comes the next player. We've had Alex Mashinsky, we've had SPF, and now there's CZ. Nope, not me, the other one, the Binance guy. CZ had made a strategic investment right at the very beginning in FTX, taking a large position in FTT. Now, FTT is the native coin that SPF invented, and with CZ's political views, he didn't like what Sam had done, allegedly, and the balance sheet of Alameda was leaked, I think, initially by the Financial Times. And it showed that the balance sheet was being propped up on the basis of the valuation of FTT that FTX had and Alameda had. And that token that they printed out of nowhere was used as backing to garner loans of real money, which they then gambled badly, which left a huge hole in the Alameda balance sheet. Now, I think SBF lied all the way through it, but that's just my humble opinion, and I say that allegedly. We will know when the hearings commence. In fact, the hearing has commenced. The hearing is there. It's been started this morning. They're in a discovery phase trying to find out whose assets are we talking about and where are they. Well, they seem to be mostly in very, very nice real estate. You can't make this stuff up. So what happened next? So we see that CZ has then said, I don't like this, and I'm going to liquidate my entire FTT position, which puts enormous pressure on SPF, okay? To such an extent that the whole house of cards comes collapsing down. And this is where we get this huge domino effect. You see, there are over 239 companies so far that I've discovered that have got money, had money in FTX, including huge, huge names. And we haven't even started to see the beginning of this yet. Now, a lot of people are calling CZ out for initiating all this, but I don't know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he hadn't done it, somebody else would, or it may have just collapsed anyway. It certainly was going to collapse whether he liquidated FTT tokens or not. So what does that leave us today? Well, it leaves us this week with this threat. We have Gemini, the Winklevi twins. We have Genesis, and we have another overarching company. And we have Alameda and FTX. 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 And we have Alameda and FTX which is called the DCG, the Digital Currency Group. Now, this is a huge, huge hedge fund that basically all CeFi relies on. There is a possibility that that may go bankrupt. We're waiting to see what happens with Gemini with regard to whether they can raise $1 billion in order to redeem or give the interest that they promised to people that had deposited money on the exchange. If that $1 billion is not forthcoming, that could lead to a Chapter 11 filing or Chapter 5 or 7, whatever it is these guys do to get away with it. And if that happens, it's going to put enormous pressure on the overall digital currency group, which has huge shareholdings in lots of cryptocurrency firms that we all rely on and love, like Coinbase. Okay, I kid you not. Coinbase is going to be affected by this. In fact, the whole crypto world is going to be affected by this. But there is a silver lining. The headlines that are going to come out from mainstream media are going to be highly sensationalist, but there is some truth to it. But the real truth is this. We needed this. We needed this right now. We need to get rid of centralized finance, or at the very least, we need to have regulated centralized finance. DeFi is a completely different animal. Since the invention of Bitcoin, with the premise of self-custody and permissionless trading, that was the genesis point of decentralized finance. Self-custody and permissionless. These are the two most important qualities of a new economy that we have, that those of you in PZEN are already part of, and will continue to grow. You see, it doesn't matter what the governments do regulation-wise for CeFi, they cannot regulate DeFi because it lives all on its own on the blockchain. You can't shut down the blockchain. It's like trying to say shut down the internet. Cannot happen. Yes, they can make it more difficult, but there will always be ways around government control. So DeFi is here to stay. Please do not be worried about that. In fact, DeFi is only set to grow exponentially over the next coming months, years, and decades. It is the new economy. It is a way of exiting the rotten system that we all live under, where we have a huge gap between the haves and the have-nots. You all know the premise of PZEN. For those of you who don't, go to the website, go to the Telegram channel, do your own research. It might be something that you are very interested in. So there's trillions of dollars out there chasing yield. And so the new economy, specifically through PZEN, of course, offers the trustless yield, permissionless, and it's self-custody. No one can interfere. Nobody. Nobody can stop this. The only person that can stop you is you. If you get fudded out this week and you sell, then you are really going to have to wonder what your future self in 5 years' time would say to you today. The decisions that are going to be made today are going to change people's financial trajectory for the rest of their lives. I'm talking about generational wealth decisions that could be made this week. You see, the old adage of be greedy when others are fearful is really, really important concept to grasp in moments like this. I'm always, I have traded in the past. I will admit I was a trader, mainly in options. But I can tell you this, it's not the way to go. And the reason that people trade is this, it's a drug. And it's a verifiable drug. And I tell you why. There are many studies done that when traders trade and they win, they make a trade that makes them money, they get a hit of dopamine. And like all addictions, that's how it all starts. And that's why traders continue to trade in illogical ways. And that's how they all get wrecked. 99% of traders get wrecked. And out of the 1% that are left, 0.1% make the minimum living wage from trading. These are verifiable figures from verifiable studies. Go look them up. I'm not here to, give you all this as a lesson. So Long rant this morning, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows how this all started. All to do with a human being making wrong decisions, and you trusted them. The whole premise of decentralized finance, there is nobody to trust. There is just you and the code. Go and watch my last live video, The Truth About DeFi, to really try and understand what decentralized finance offers you and why it is the way of the future. Of that, there is no doubt. And for all of you in PZEN, your wallet balance went up as you watched this video, I'm sure. Slanjivar. So, don't forget, there is a whole world out there. It's not all about cryptocurrency. So do take a breath. Make sure that you engage your logical brain and not your dinosaur emotional brain. This week specifically is going to be very important for a lot of people in crypto. So I'll just say hi and bye to those of you who join me maybe for the second time. Chris, let's just go back a bit. There's a few people here now. Crypto Kobe, my man, how are we? Good to see you. Telling me that we've got sound. Shame I didn't look at that earlier on. Who have we got here? Steve Mojo says hello. Hex said 3. Yes, don't forget, you know, I am a large holder of Hex. Don't forget that. But, you know, there is alternatives out there. Well, actually, there's one alternative. And the premise is that I've always thought that you have to give people a choice. No staking, no lockup required. That's good for some people it's not. Who else we got here? YouTuber, hello. Shane Lund, hello to you, sir. I recognize that name. Chris L says hello. And Steve Moji says, hi Conrad, do we pay a PIF function moving PZEN from, say, a MetaMask to an offline hard wallet? Yeah, well, first of all, I'm just going to say one very, very quick thing about this, okay? Your coins don't live in your wallet. Your coins are always on the blockchain. MetaMask is merely a UX, a program which allows you to see your coins on the blockchain. They don't belong and they don't get stored in your wallet. They are always on the blockchain. What your MetaMask does is it allows you to interact with the blockchain so you can have a visual representation of your coins. But what MetaMask does, if you don't use a hardware wallet to set it up, your private key, you know, the self-custody bit that we've been talking about, the very important bit, your private key is held in that storage on your laptop, which makes you extremely vulnerable. So, yes, you're right. You should have your private key on a hardware wallet. And you will necessarily move from your unprotected wallet in MetaMask to a protected wallet in your ledger device. So Ethereum doesn't differentiate transactions. A transaction is a buy, a sell, or a transfer. That's the Ethereum machine. That's how it works. Those are not our rules. Those are the rules of solidity. So the thing to understand here is that for any cryptocurrency that you are interested in being involved in, the very first thing you need to invest in is a hardware wallet. You need to do your own research and find out how this hardware wallet works and what it actually does. Nothing is stored on your hardware wallet. It's a misnomer. Well, the only thing that's stored is your private key, and therefore it should never touch the internet, and therefore you shouldn't get hacked. And there are higher levels of security that you can go into the more wealth that you have. But unless you've got more than, say, a couple of million US dollars in assets, a hardware wallet is probably enough to save you from the scammers. So I hope that answered your question. Please do your own research. Contact Ledger support, contact MetaMask support so that you get the real information. Okay, I think I've ranted long enough. There will be a live broadcast on Saturday, hopefully. The draw is to be announced. We are having some issues around this draw, and those will be resolved pretty soon. And so there will be an announcement. There will probably not be a draw this week. That's why it's not there. However, the next draw is likely to be mega. So we will announce the details of that later on. Meanwhile, have a fantastic day. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning with the latest updates with the truth in DeFi. Thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe, do follow me, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.